In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the operating system information and platform services information to see what's available for you as a developer and what your application can use in the operating system. I'm also going to use one of the platform services, the virtual keyboard service, to show how you can, if a virtual keyboard is available, use it in your application. So let's start with the platform services example for C++. The simple application, a button, 2 memos. All the work is done in code underneath. Let's take a look at the code. At the top, I declare a structure, and the structure is going to hold the name of the service and the service information and the GUID that's associated with each of the services. In FireMonkey 2, we've added the ability to query to see what services are available so that you can know what you can take advantage of in your application. And FireMonkey also uses this service information in many of its implementations to do the right thing. And you can see here a list of the different services. They're also documented in the doc wiki. So you can check to see if there's a dialogue service, a canvas service, a clipboard service, a drag and drop service, a mouse service, and so on. And this architecture was added in FireMonkey 2, not only for today on Windows and Macintosh, but also for the future when we move to other kinds of devices. Some devices might not have a menu. They might not have a mouse. And so being able to query to see what services are available in the hardware and software underneath will help you write your programs in such a way that you can take advantage of features when they're available in the operating system and the hardware, or to provide an alternative interface for your applications to use. So instead of using a menu, if there isn't one, you might have some other mechanism for visualizing menu type operations. So I declare an array here of these strings, which has the interface name as it relates to FireMonkey. So FMX, platform, application service. There's a bunch of platform services that you can query. There's a menu service that's in the menu namespace, 2 form services, and a timer service that's defined in the types space. And then we have a string here, which gives an English version of the name. As the third part of the array structure, we have the GUID for each of those services. And these services are defined inside of the FMX platform header file. So you'll find all the interfaces that are available for these different services. And here the font service, the style service, device service, and so on. If you're on a Macintosh with a Retina display or some other high resolution display, then there's a service interface for the high-res service. And again, FireMonkey uses that at runtime to know if it can display at the higher resolution and use styles for the higher resolution. So there's a whole host of services that are available that you can query. In this application, demo just will display either an O or an X in front of the name of the service and the GUID for the service. So in the code, we're going to iterate through this list of services, and then we're going to use the T platform services interface for the current service manager, and we're going to ask, is a certain service supported? So we'll call the method supports platform service, and then we'll pass it the GUID for each of the services, and we'll go through that for loop for the number of elements that are in our array. So this is the key here. T platform services, the current service manager, query supports platform service, and that'll return either a true or a false if the service is available. And the rest of this is just creating a string with information about each of the services and then putting it in the memo a line at a time. And I also will then save the list to a text file so you can look at it after the fact. The second part of the code uses the OS version record that is created when the runtime library is initialized that gives you information about the operating system that you're running on. And so in here we have a memo, and we're going to just say, give me the name of the operating system. So TOS version, get its name. The operating system version, get its version number, and display that as a string. Get the architecture that we run on, so TOS version, T architecture. If it's Intel x86 or Intel x64, Those are the two that we support currently in the compilers for C++ Builder. Then we'll dump out that we're running on a 32-bit or 64-bit architecture. We can also get the platform information, so it'll tell us whether we're running on Windows, and there's a platform flag, PF Windows and PF Mac OS. And down here we can get the different build numbers, the major and minor build number, and if we've got any service packs applied. So all of this is mostly string manipulation of these values, and again, they're all coming from the TOS version record structure. So the top part, querying services that are available to your FireMonkey applications on Windows and Macintosh from C++ Builder, and the bottom part displaying information about the operating system. So let's run this on Windows, and we'll just click the button, and it will dump out all the different services, and if it has an O in front of it, then that service is available. If it has an X in front of it, then the service is not available. So I'm running on a Windows 8 system. It's my Samsung Slate Series 7, and so the services that aren't available on that, there's no device service and there's no high-res service. If I run this application on a Macintosh Retina display, then we'd have the high-res service would have an O in front of it that would be available. But for example, we wouldn't have a virtual keyboard. That's a service that's provided by Windows itself. And so in this case, on my Windows machine, I've got a virtual keyboard service is available, and you'll see that in action in a couple moments. And down here, I'm running on Windows 8. So it says Windows 8 version 6.2, build 9200 64-bit edition. This is a 64-bit processor, so Intel x64. The platform is Windows, the build 9200, a major version 6 and minor version 2. And for Windows 8, there hasn't been any service packs yet that I've applied. So pretty straightforward. And again, you can use all this information in your applications to know the operating system you're running on and to see what FireMonkey services are available to your application. We can run this application also on Macintosh. Just switch over the platform here and say run. And then when we're connected to our Macintosh, it will deploy it from my Windows ID over to my Mac. And on the Macintosh, you'll see the display. So we'll click the button. And again, you can see the services that are available and that I'm running on the Macintosh operating system with an Intel processor. And the second program I want to show you is how to use a virtual keyboard if one is available as a service for your FireMonkey applications. So here I've just got an edit box and a button. And underneath, I will create a variable called a keyboard service, and that will be of type the interface to the virtual keyboard service. Similar to that previous example where I went through all the services that are available. So in this if statement, I'll query the platform services to see if there's a virtual keyboard service. And I'll do that by calling the supports platform method, passing it the GUID of the interface to the virtual keyboard service. And what I'll get back is an interface to a virtual keyboard service, and that'll get stored in KBD service. Once I have that interface, I can use it, and to use it, I'll just set the focus of my edit box, and I'll say, for that keyboard service, call show virtual keyboard and have it attached to my form. If there isn't a virtual keyboard service, then I'll simply put in the edit box, no virtual keyboard service found. Then I can just use a regular physical keyboard. So we're going to build this on 64-bit Windows using C++ Builder. So I'll run the application. And I've got an edit box here and a virtual keyboard. And because Windows 8 provides a virtual keyboard interface, I can use it in my FireMonkey applications. And I can type using the virtual keyboard or use the regular keyboard. Again, that shows you how easy it is to use these FireMonkey services to query if they're available. And if those interfaces are available, you can use them in your application. You can query those services at runtime. FireMonkey is doing the same thing under the covers to query the different interfaces to provide you with the capabilities on the different operating systems and platforms that you have. So that's a quick look at platform services for FireMonkey, and how to use the virtual keyboard service in your application.